the science guy has been going around debating people on various issues. He debated on creation versus evolution. Now he's talking about climate change. He says big government is the cure for climate change. Now, you've got to understand that Bill Nye is not really a science guy. He just plays one on television. Remember decades ago when you had Marcus Welby come out and say that, because it was one of the earliest examples of the pharmaceutical companies selling drugs. And of course, people saw him on television and they think if he's playing a doctor that he's a real doctor. So they had to put that disclaimer out there. Well, this guy, just because he plays a science guy on a kid's television show, doesn't make him a scientist. Look at what he said. He said the solution lies in government doing more in order to lead the world in the fight. The fight for what? The fight to try to stop global warming. When CO2 is going up in record amounts and yet you still have global cooling, and I'm not talking about the fact that we're having a cold winter. This is a 17-year trend. You don't have global warming. And certainly you don't have anthropogenic global warming, man-made global warming. That's a much bigger thing to prove even than proving global warming. If man were the predominant factor, then they would presumably be able to override the seasons, because just a little bit of a tilt of the earth gives us a difference of summer and winter. And yet, look at what he did. This other article here, Climate Depot from Mark Moreno, he points out that Bill Nye was holding up a picture of the Arctic and talking about how they were losing ice in the Antarctic. And yet, that is not only nonsense, it's totally factually incorrect. He says Arctic sea ice extent is on track to have the highest minimum in the modern satellite era. It is 27.4% above normal as of February the 7th, and on and on. There are many facts that support the fact that ice is growing. And to underscore that, remember just before Christmas, there was a global warming expedition that got stuck in the Antarctic because the ice was so thick, and the rescue ships got stuck. That's summer down there when they were getting stuck in that ice. So adding to his nonsense and non-facts, he's now adding big government solutions, because that's the point of global warming. It's a way to get big government in the door to enact Agenda 21, to enact climate change, carbon tax credits, which is something like a Federal Reserve on a worldwide basis. Now, another article here that's on InfoWars Today from Mike Krieger, Liberty Blitzkrieg. He says the U.S. plunges to 46th in World Press Freedom Index. We've fallen even below Romania. Now, this is an organization, Reporters Without Borders. They take a look at freedom of the press in various countries. This is the greatest fall that any nation has seen in a single year, dropping 13 slots. And of course, we know why that is, because the government is increasingly hostile to journalists.
The globalists have controlled the mainstream media for a long time, but now they're expanding, making the weaponization even more vicious and deceptive. All the major networks are state-run.
We are partnering this year with the NFL.
The NFL has become a political weapon against the Second Amendment and pushes Obamacare. MSNBC tells us that our children belong to the state.
We have to break through our kind of private idea that kids belong to their parents or kids belong to their families, and recognize that kids belong to whole communities.
The brainwashing media machine has been turned up on high, and it's time for humanity to double down on the true people's media and strike back against the tyrants that are destroying our civilization with their lies and fraud. We are the resistance. You are the resistance. You are the InfoWar. It is more important than ever to realize that we are not the alternative media. We are the true media. The establishment dinosaur press is dying.
We are in an information war, and we are losing that war.
Join us at InfoWarsNews.com and PrisonPlanet.tv. Members can share their memberships with up to 11 people. By subscribing, you will literally be buying war bonds in the InfoWar to expand our operation in the face of the tyrants. Join us at PrisonPlanet.tv.